Hi, my name is Nazmia Alababidi, and today I will be talking to you about the adverse effects of vaping on teenagers. So, what are e-cigarettes? E-cigarettes are electronic devices such as vapes, juuls, puffs, or any other kind of form that they come in. These devices heat a liquid to produce an aerosol or a mixture of atoms, small atoms in the air. The liquid typically contains nicotine, other chemicals, and flavorings. So what's actually in these vape juices? Majority of e-cigarettes contain nicotine, which is a highly addictive drug extracted from tobacco. Other potential harmful substances in e-cigs are ultrafine particles that get inhaled deep into the lungs, flavorings such as diacetyl, a chemical connected to a serious lung disease, explosive organic compounds, cancer-causing chemicals, and heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. A recent study conducted by the CDC revealed that 99% of e-cigarettes contain nicotine even when the label stated 0% nicotine. All juul cigarettes, e-cigarettes contain a high level of nicotine. According to the manufacturer, a single juul pod holds as much nicotine as a pack of 20 regular cigarettes. Some vape devices contained tetrahydrocannabinol, which is THC, and vitamin E acetate as well. What are the effects of it? So first of all, nicotine is a harmful drug, not only causes addiction, but it also obstructs the brain development in adolescence. Adolescent brains normally continues on growing till the mid-20s. Using nicotine in adolescence can hinder and stop the brain development and the segments of the brain that regulate the learning and the mood and the attention and the impulse control. Every time a new memory is created or a new skill is learned, greater connections, which are called synapses, are formed and assembled between the brain cells. Teenage brains build synapses more rapidly than adult brains. Nicotine alters the way these synapses are formed and developed. It also may increase the risk of addiction to further drugs in the future. Nicotine causes users to crave a smoke and suffer withdrawal symptoms if the cravings are ignored. Nicotine, additionally, is a toxic substance. It elevates one's blood pressure and spikes the adrenaline, which in turn increases the heart rate and the chance of getting a heart attack, according to Johns Hopkins University. Another concern which led to more investigations on e-cigs is the national outbreak of e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury called EVALI cases, which stands for product use associated lung injury. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the US FDA and Food Drug Administration, and additional state and local health departments have been investigating the national outbreak of e-cigarettes or vaping product use associated lung injury cases. So I'm going to show you a video so far of how it's like.
Now to the alarming news on vaping tonight. Right here in the Houston area, a high school student collapsing after vaping and was rushed to the hospital. And now a sixth person has died linked to e-cigarettes. That patient in their 50s. Here's ABC's Adrian Bankert now.
Tonight, new alarm about the risk of vaping after an emergency at this Houston area high school. Officials say a student was suddenly sickened after vaping.
A girl had handed it to him. He hit it, he passed out, and he would not wake up. So the ambulance had to come and get him out in a stretcher.
It's just the latest in a growing number of cases around the country. Doctors are reporting serious lung illnesses. More than 450 patients and counting. And tonight, a sixth death linked to vaping. That person in Kansas, over 50 years old with underlying health problems whose symptoms worsened rapidly. Most of the cases are linked to vaping THC products, but doctors are scrambling for answers.
We don't know, but But something clearly has changed in the last month to 6 weeks in the products that are being vaped, and that's what the CDC is working to find out.
18-year-old Seema Herman vaped nicotine, then THC over 2 years, getting sicker and sicker, ending up on life support on a ventilator.
It was terrifying. She's getting weaker and weaker by the minute.
Doctors put Seema in a medically induced coma. When she woke up, she asked to write this message on Instagram, now seen around the world.
I'm just trying to share my story and save people's lives.
And Adrian, tonight the American Lung Association is also just out with a new warning.
Yes, David, that's right. They are saying that e-cigarettes are not safe and can cause irreversible lung damage. They're saying young people are particularly at risk because their lungs are still developing. The Surgeon General is calling this a youth e-cigarette epidemic, David.
Adrian Baker reporting in tonight. Thank you.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage,
All
click
right.
on the right over
So
here.
as you can see, vaping affects everyone. So what's the proof? In further research, collected data from national and state patient reports and product trial testing revealed that THC-containing e-cigarette or vaping tools, particularly bought from informal sources such as friends, family members, relatives, online dealers, or in person, were connected to the most E-Valley cases and contribute most to the outbreak, according to the CDC. Since February 18 of 2020, there's been a total of 2,807 hospitalized E-Valley cases or deaths reported to CDC from all 50 states, including the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Amongst those hospitalizations, there has been 68 deaths confirmed in 29 states, including the District of Columbia. Vitamin E acetate has been strongly connected to the outbreak as well. It has been discovered in merchandise samples tested by the FDA and the state laboratory, in addition to being in patients' lung fluid samples that were tested by the CDC from geographically different states. Vitamin E acetate was not discovered in the lung fluid of individuals that do not partake in E-Valley. Many kids and grown-ups were poisoned by either breathing, swallowing, or absorbing the liquid from e-cigarettes through their eyes or their skin. Nationwide, roughly 50% of the calls made to poison control centers for e-cigarettes were for children 5 years old or younger. More than 450 prospective cases of severe pulmonary disease have been detected as of September 6th of 2019. A commonality in these cases was a history of smoking e-cigarettes and or vaping. Dr. Nora Volko, director of the National Institute of Health, she ascribes the setback of the decline to the reality that adolescents may perhaps be attracted to the flavorings and the technology of the vaping devices. Because it is essential for teenagers to be educated on the prospective consequences of vaping on their health, their brain development, and the risk of addiction, and it is critical that everybody gets educated about teens and vaping. Researchers tested the impact of nicotine on lung tissue sprouting in a lab dish. New studies discovered chemicals such as nicotine found in e-cigs can injure the lung tissue, triggering inflammation, which in turn leads to weakening the lung's ability to keep out the germs and bacteria and other harmful substances. But even an e-cigarette liquid containing no nicotine disturbed the barrier function of the lung cells. So I want to show you an image of what the lung looks like for a person who vapes. So this is it. And they call it popcorn lung because it makes, see how this lung is open and wide, and then for a person who smokes, it becomes very narrow which makes it harder for the oxygen to go through and harder to breathe. And they call it popcorn lung because it constricts and it's in the shape of a kernel. So now that you have the facts, what do you need to do? First, you gotta know what challenges to expect. Avoid the triggers, such as people or situations that make you want to vape. Plan ahead, prepare for the cravings and the withdrawal, and resist the temptations. And you should also make the mental shift. Focus on the better you and the positives in your future and the positives that are gonna come out of you quitting vaping. You should build your team. Tell your friends, your family, your coworkers so they can be there for you and support you throughout your journey. Ask for help. You don't have to do it alone. Also, you can support others who are quitting with you. Build a team. Talk to your doctor for medical advice. And reach out to a counselor where you can get free personalized support from an expert. So I have this number that you can call or text to talk with a tobacco cessation counselor. And you can also chat online using the National Cancer's Live Help Service on the Smoke-Free website. So there are these resources that you can use, that you can text or call, and they'll assist you in any way that you can. And also we have the website over here. Basically, it's Smoke-Free Teen. There's a whole section for just teens, and it goes over on how to quit and all kind of like tips and tips on how to start the process and where to get help for any kind of challenges that you can face. So that's it. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any further questions or need any further clarifications, please reach out and let me know. I will hand out a piece of paper, and I need you guys to write 2 adverse effects that you have learned today about vaping. Again, this is Nazmia Alababidi. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I helped in some way or another.